Okay, this is a sound test at 8:21:52 seconds. Okay, this is a sound test at 8:21:52 seconds. Okay, this is a sound test. All right, I'm gonna need some headphones. Hey, Jason, have you got any questions from any papers? Just tell me where they are, then I can just take a screenshot of it and then just start working on the question. Jabbar, we are doing MCAT at the moment. And yes, we're supposed to start at 8:30, but I'm just kind of trying to figure out whether this thing works or not. All right, Jason, do you know what the question actually sounded like at least? Because I've got some papers and I can maybe create like a parallel version of it. Now, Jason, if you just remember what the question is, I can probably create one. I've got a simultaneous equation question. I'll put it up shortly, all right? All right. Tony, I'll try and do that upload in about, try it this weekend, man. I'm still a bit overloaded. Ooh, Jet, got a good question. Okay, it's a long question. That's a good one to do. All right, I just need to find a question for Jason. Jason, you got to be careful with that, man, because sometimes the marking schedule, they change it. So some days I think one year they had like 3 excellence questions, get you an excellent, but then another year they changed it to 4. Sorry, Jason, trying to convert your question is a bit hard because if I use some of these questions that I have, I might get into copyright trouble. So I can't change the questions on the go. Ooh, I like that one, Makana. Regular hexagon. Yes. What's the rest of the question, Makana? Are you sure that's all, Makana? Because it looks like this might not be enough information, or Nah, Jabba, I'm from New Zealand, mate. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Akana. All right, guys, it's 8:31. I'm gonna go through this first question that's sent by Jat. All right, so what you have here is I've kind of summarized this question a little bit, but basically you've got t as one function here, and then you've got this really long thing that is r. So I think the question actually asked, write r in terms of t. I'm just going to find it. Give me a second. Where did you write this? Yep, r in terms of t. So what I would suggest you guys do is, I mean, if you're actually watching this, is basically I want you guys to try and expand R and try and simplify it as much as you can. So I'm going to say something. Be very careful with this particular negative 2n here, because when you try to expand it, you can make some really silly mistakes in it. Okay, so I'm going to do this real quickly. So what we got is R. So the first thing I got to do is expand the brackets. So I've got 5n times n, which is 5n squared. 5n times 1, which is 5n. Negative 4n. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. Then I've got to do this part here. So I've got negative 2 times 2n. Sorry, negative 2n times 2n is negative 4n squared. Negative 2n times 3, which is negative 6n. And then I've got this lot I need to expand. So that's 4n plus 4. And I got the minus 3 left over there. Okay, so then we've got to combine all the like terms. So then we can see that r is equal to, you got 5n squared and 4n squared. That's going to be n squared. And then what else we've got? 4n and 4n cancels out. Minus 4 and plus 4 cancels out. So you're left with 5n minus 6n, which is negative n. So I've got rid of that. And the only thing that's left over is minus 3. Just double checking. So remember that we've got to write r in terms of t. Now we know that t could be written as n squared minus n plus 5. So that means so what I'm going to do is I'm going to write this up, n squared minus n. But if I want to have t, I got to have a plus 5 in it. All right, and I know I'm just trying to say this to you guys on live. It's a bit challenging, but like plus 5 minus 3. So man, my head is blowing at the moment. Yeah, talk about pressure and doing this live. Okay, I'm going to do this slightly differently. Give me a second. Okay, I'm going to write t is n squared minus n plus 5. Then I'm going to write t is equal to n squared minus n. I'm going to do this. Because the reason I'm doing 8 minus 3 is because I know that the reason I want to have negative 3 is because that's what r is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reverse it. I'm going to rewrite this as n squared minus n minus 3 plus 8. So this part right here is equal to r. So I can write this as t is equal to r plus 8. And then r could be written as t minus 8. Yeah, sorry about that. Just, I mean, like I said, picked the wrong question to start with, but it's all right. We got there in the end. My second question. I'm going to go to Makana's question here. So Makana, you actually gave me a regular hexagon, which has perimeter of 12x minus 6. And then you told me the area of the hexagon is 81 centimeters squared. And you wanted me to find h in terms of x. All right, so for this one, just give me a second. What do we got? Nothing. So with this one, we know the perimeter is 12x minus 6. What we can do is, if you look at this hexagon, you've got, I'm just going to put this as, it's got 6 sides. Right? And because we got 6 sides, what we can then do is we can say 6s is equal to 12x minus 6. So that means we rearrange this so that s is equal to 12x minus 6, and that whole thing is being divided by 6. So then we got s is equal to 2x minus 1. So s is like the side. I mean, I'm talking about each of the side of the hexagon right now is 2x minus 1. Now, it says that the area is equal to 81 centimeters squared, right? And because it's a regular hexagon, that means this hexagon here is going to have 6 kind of triangles inside of it. And I'm just going to look at one of those triangles. So I'm going to take one of those triangles, which means this triangle has a base of S, and the height, I don't know what the height is. And I also know the area of one of the triangles, because remember, the area of the hexagon is 81. And we got 6 triangles, equal triangles inside of it. And because we got 6 triangles, we can say that each triangle's area is 81 over 6. So the next thing we can do is, because now we know the area of this little triangle is 81 over 6, we know what the area formula is, because area of a triangle is half times base times height. We know what the area of this blue triangle is, which is 81 over 6, half, and the base is whatever S is, which we know is 2x minus 1, multiplied by whatever the height is. So once we've got that, it's just a matter of rearranging, guys, and leaving h by itself. So I'm going to cross multiply the 2. So I'm going to end up with 2 times 81 over 6 equals, well, I don't really need to worry about the 1, which means I got 2x minus 1 times h. And then, well, I can cancel out the 2 and 6, so I got 1 and 3. And now I can also do 81 divided by 3, because 81 divided by 3 is 27. So 27 equals 2x minus 1 times h, and then h could be written as 27 divided by 2x minus 1. Okay, I'm just going to pause here for a second, guys, because I know there's heaps of comments coming at the moment and questions. Just trying to figure out how I can actually access this. All right, there we go. Let's try this. No, that ain't working. Okay, got a lot of questions coming up here. All right, so the next question I want to try and do is, chat, I can see your question here. Give me 1 second, folks. I'm just going to try and cut and paste this question here. Let's see if this works. Come on. Ah, damn it. Can't do that. Okay, chat, I'm going to come back to that question. I've got a question from Anukaran. So I'm going to do that one next. So this was one of the questions from Anukaran here, which was 23x plus 4 is greater than 2x squared. Now, guys, I would say this question pretty much pops up almost most of the time in some form. All right. Last year, they kind of made a tricky one where they actually put they mixed exponents and quadratics and inequalities. I actually thought that was one of the most challenging questions in a long time. But in saying that, it is doable. Okay. But what I would also recommend is just be patient with this one, because I know this question, a lot of people get put off by it. But trust me, it's actually not that challenging. Okay. You just need a couple of little ideas, and then you can actually do this quite easily. Yeah, I hope that's the one, Anna-Karen, and I hope that actually is that's going to work. All right. So, okay. So this question here, so what you got to do is whenever you see like an inequality, particularly with a quadratic, you guys got to remember this. You're going to have to draw a little parabola and try and work around it. All right. And I'm going to go through this question, the whole step. Basically, the first step you want to do is don't move the 2x squared to make it into a negative. All right. Keep it always positive. The coefficient of, I'm talking about this thing right here. You don't want to move it around to make it negative, because if you do that, you will just end up complicating things for you. So what I would say is leave the 2x squared that side, and I'm going to rewrite this as 0 is greater than 2x squared minus 23x and minus 4. Hey, Jad, I'm going to ask you this question. Did I read that right? Is that 2 to the power of 3x or 23x? Sorry, not Jad, it's Anukaran. Because this question won't work, man. I mean, not at, anyway, not at level 1. 2 to the power of 3x. To the power of 3x. Are you sure that's not a level 2 question, man? Because I've not seen a question like that. Wait, are you talking about this? Does the question look like this? 2 to the power of 3x plus 4 is greater than 2 to the power of x squared. Oh, yeah, this one. Yep. And plus 4. That won't work. Are you sure it's not times 4? Because times 4, I can see it working, but plus 4 is not going to work. Now, Kelly, you can only add the powers if it's time 4. Okay, so it is times 4. Okay, sorry, guys, sorry. We got the question. Okay, that's not the question. We basically got 2 to the power of 3x multiplied by 4 greater than 2 to the power of x squared. Now, this was a question from very similar to last year. All right, so what we're going to do is anytime you see an exponent question is you want to actually rewrite the whole question with the same powers. All right, and I'll tell you guys one thing. In MCAT, they don't ask you guys like really complex kind of bases. They stick with 2, 3, maybe 5, and maybe 10, but most of the time it's actually 2 and 3s. Okay, so if this is the question, then you can rewrite this as 2 to the power of 3x, and then 4 could be written as 2 to the power of 2, and then this is greater than 2 to the power of x squared. Yeah, this is that. Yeah, that's exactly the one, mate. That's all right. So at this point, because you've got the bases here as the same things, you can actually add the powers. So you can rewrite this as 2 to the power of 3x plus 2, and then this is greater than 2 to the power of x squared. So at this point, what's happening is because your bases are the same, you can pretty much say that this power, I mean, you can kind of literally get rid of the 2 and rewrite this as 3x plus 2 is greater than x squared. Now, when you guys get to this point though, all right, once again, leave the x squared as is. Don't bring it to the other side to make it negative. So what I would say is chuck this as 0, greater than, but rearrange it so that you get x squared minus 3x minus 2. You got to be kidding me. I think I don't think this is going to work as well because the number doesn't seem right. Unless I stuffed it up somewhere, but don't think I have. All right, did you say it was 2017 paper? Let's have a look. Sorry, guys, I just got to look for this question because I've got trying to figure out where it is. The numbers don't seem to make sense. They're not going to give you guys something like this hard, especially that doesn't factorize properly. Oh, okay. I think whoever gave this question, it was not a troll question. It was, yeah, basically, I think I've realized what's happened here. Sorry, guys, the question itself, there's lots and lots of little mistakes here, but we're going to do this question again. I've got the right question in front of me. I'll tell you what, because we're going to do this question, I'm going to give you guys a different one, all right? I'm going to write this up. Give me 1 second. X minus 4, x squared minus 6x minus 8. All right, here we go. I actually wrote the question because now I know this question is definitely going to work, because if it doesn't work, my God, I think maybe I should just stop streaming. But anyway, let's try this one. All right, 2 to the power of 6x plus 8 less than 2 to the power of x squared. So this one here, I've really simplified it here for you guys. Basically, this is what we're looking at. So what you can do is, because we can kind of say that this power and this power is on the same base, we can rewrite this whole equation as 6x plus 8 is less than x squared. Once we do that, we need to rearrange. So we're going to get 0 is less than x squared minus 6x minus 8. Now, this type of question, what happens is you will get an achieved if you can write the question with the same base. Otherwise, if you are, I mean, yeah, don't mess it up. It's really easy to mess it up with people doing stupid things with exponents, but just follow those rules. So anyway, once we get to this point, this is the part that's really important, guys, because it's such an easy excellence question, this one, if you just understand what's actually happening from this point onwards. All right, what I would say is, all right, the first thing is, when I did this before, people I know got a little bit confused with it, but basically what you got to do is you got to factorize this. All right, factorize this, and this one is a nice quadratic, nicely factorized to x minus 4 and x minus 2, right? But here is where most of the people make the mistake. All right, I'm going to write this in red so you can see where the mistake is. So people generally just go 0 is greater than x minus 4, and then they rearrange it as x is something like this as one of the answers. And then the second answer, they do the same thing, x minus 2, and then rearrange this as positive 2, as x is greater than 2 or x is greater than 4. Now, if you do this, and if you've always done this, then I'm sorry to say this, this is actually the incorrect answer. Okay, now that's because what you actually have in this situation is you're looking at a quadratic. Now this x squared right here, it's a quadratic, right? So if it's a quadratic, if I was to say there's my x and y axis, I know what the x-intercepts are, okay? Because when x is equal to 4 and when x is equal to 2, that's when the two intercepts happen. So that's 2 and that's 4. Now this parabola, as you can see, is a positive x squared, which means the graph is going to actually look like this. Okay? Now, what's really important is have a look at this particular statement. You're looking at when is this particular parabola bigger than 0. So what I generally tend to do is I ask my guys to just draw this diagram and then have a look at what they're trying to do. It says this parabola has to be bigger than 0. If it has to be bigger than 0, then basically I'm looking at this zone here that I'm highlighting at the moment, and then this second zone here. So this basically tells me that when x is bigger than 4, shouldn't write in this color. So I can basically say this: when x is bigger than 4, this is true, and when x is less than 2, this is true as well. Now, you might be wondering, well, I've got the same answers in the red I'm talking about here. But if you look at it, particularly looking at this one, that's actually the incorrect answer. So one big suggestion is always try and draw a diagram like this anytime you see a quadratic, and and when it's greater than 0, just draw this diagram. All right, draw this diagram and then kind of like just highlight the zones that you actually want and then actually work from there. Okay, I'm hoping that is okay. Yes, cool guys. Sorry, there's just quite a few comments coming and I'm trying to do as many questions as I can. Should one of the brackets be positive? No, Jordan, it can't be positive. What about stuff? Yeah, actually, good point, Jordan. Yep, but I don't think it's still going to affect the answer, mate. So yeah, you're right. That should be a plus right there. But I think the answer will still be the same, which means in the original question, that should have been a minus. Yeah, rule number 1, don't come up with questions live. Immortal, I'm just trying to figure out who's giving questions and then trying to work through from that, mate. All right, Supriti, I see your question there. The Peter, Paul, Mary triplets question. I'll do that, right? Give me a second, guys. I'm just going to take a little screenshot of this. This is going to work, isn't it? Come on. I saw your question, Katie. Just give me a second. Just trying to see if this is going to pop up. All right, so this is basically one of the questions from Supiti right here. So with this particular one, guys, what I would say is, what do we got? We got triplets, bag of lollies for the birthday. Peter got 2/5 of the lollies. Peter got, yeah, okay, fine. Okay, so this question here, I've got Peter here first, and then I've got Paul, and then I've got Mary. All right. Now, what the question actually says is this. The first part is Peter got 2/5 of the lollies. So let's say number of lollies. I'm going to write that as X. All right, because I don't know what the number of lollies are. What I do know is Peter got 2/5 of it. So I can actually rewrite this as 2/5 of the number of lollies. The next thing is it says Paul got 1/4 of the lollies. Okay, Paul got 1/4 of a lolly, so I can actually say that's 1/4 of X. And then finally, it says Mary got the rest. She actually got 7 lollies. So that means Mary got the remaining lollies. Now, if you take the number of lollies Peter, Paul, and Mary has, that's actually the total number of lollies. So that's going to be X. So once we got this question, it's just a matter of rearranging and solving, guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the fractions on this side. I'm not really going to touch it as yet, but I'm going to get rid of the +7 to the other side, and therefore it becomes -7. I'll leave it there as is. Now, what I need to do is I need to combine this fraction. So between 5 and 4, 20 is the least common multiple. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the denominator here by 4 and the numerator by 4. And then multiply the denominator here by 5 for this fraction and the numerator by 5. So, and that's basically what I've got here so far. So then I've got 4 times 2x in the numerator. So that's going to be 8x over 20 plus 5 times 1x is 5x over 20. And then this is equal to x minus 7. Now, because 20 is a common denominator, I can combine these two fractions together. I got 13x over 20 equals x minus 7. So rearranging this, I've got 13x is 20 times x minus 7, because cross multiply the 20. So at this point, I got to expand the brackets. I got 13x is equal to 20x minus 140. And then what I want to do is I want to bring the 140 to the left-hand side. So it becomes positive 140. Still got the 13x here equals 20x. And now I want to get rid of the 13x to the other side. So it becomes minus 13x. And then so I'm going to get 140 equals 7x. And then x is equal to 140 divided by 7, which is 20. So the total number of lollies I've got is 20. All right, whoever sent that question, hopefully that made sense. Okay, what have I got here? Next question. Sebastian Smith, yes, I'm a school teacher. And I'm actually at school doing this. All right, Katie Nelson. I thought you had a question, Katie. I'm trying to find your question. Immortal Yaso, that question might be a merit, man. I don't think that's an excellence question. All right, Death Slayer. I think your question looks very interesting. I'm going to do that one. Give me a second, mate. Just Prince getting the question. Guys, hopefully you can actually see that question there. Katie, yes, I see your question. I'll try and do that next day. Okay, so this question, I know you've written it in a different way, mate, but I think I've seen this question before. So this question looks like this. So basically, we've got another exponent question here. Yeah, got it, Zayash. Give me a second, mate. I think you're after Katie. Just need to remember who's next somewhere. Okay, so basically, what you want to do is you want to rearrange this question, okay? Because I know when you look at this question, you go, oh, I've got an exponent with 3, so I need to try and rearrange everything with exponent with 3. Yeah, that's not going to work in this question, all right? Because sometimes these guys, what they do is they put like little tricks, and I'm going to just put another question here on the side, guys, because I remember there was a question very similar to this, which I'm going to do just later on, but give me 1 second. I'm just going to write it down first before I forget it. So it could look like this. 3 times 2 to the power of x plus 2 is greater than, I don't know, maybe 25, man. Not 25. Let's go 20, 30. I'm going to do this question after I do Detzler's question, because I want to show you guys the similarities and the kind of challenges with these two types of questions. Okay, so with this question, what I got to do is I got to get rid of the 2 first. I'm going to rewrite this as 3 to the power of y minus 2 equals 162 divided by 2. So what you end up getting is 3 to the power of y minus 2 equals 81. Okay, once you get that, this should be like, oh, yep, you should know what's happening here. And even if you don't remember, if you have got no idea of how to do exponent question, guys, one thing I'd say is on the side of your answer sheet, just start writing down 3 to the power of 1 is 3. 3 to the power of 2 is 9. 3 to the power of 3 is 27. 3 to the power of 4 is 81. Now, these 4 numbers are quite useful to remember, because whenever you see 3 as being the base, then you start looking at this number and go, well, how can I write this as one of these numbers here on the side here? Okay, because now we know that 81 is equal to 3 to the power of 4, we can write this question as 3 to the power of y minus 2 equals 3 to the power of 4. All right, so once you do that, the next thing is you can actually now say, because they have the same basis, you can say the powers must equal each other. So that means you got y minus 2 equals to 4, y is equal to 4 plus 2, and then y is equal to 6. All right, this question here is a merit question. I don't think this was an excellence question that I've seen before. However, if you look at the question next to it, this one is definitely an excellence question, but it pretty much has the same kind of idea. All right, same kind of idea. Well, that's a good question too, Betty. I need to keep that in mind. Hang on, who do I have? I've had, what was the names? Guys, try and do this question real quickly. I'm just going to try and grab some of those questions, people that I've sent earlier. That is Caitlin and someone else. I keep forgetting. Caitlin, there's Caitlin's one. And Suyesh. Caitlin. Caitlin and Suyesh. Okay. And Birdie's question looks interesting too. Okay, so I'm hoping you guys had a chance to look at this question. Okay, well, I was just trying to grab those other ones. But so with this one, this is pretty much the same idea as the previous question. But what I've also seen people do is the first mistake I see people do with this question is they do this. They actually combine 3 times 2 as 6 to the power of x plus 2. All right, please, guys, don't do that. All right, you can't do that. You can only combine bases if they have this, and I mean, if they have the same powers, then you can do it. So for example, if you have something like 3 to the power of x times 2 to the power of x, then you can write this as 6 to the power of x. But if you have 3 to the power of x multiplied by 2 to the power of y, then you can't actually write this as x to the power of 6y. That's actually incorrect. Okay, really important that you don't stuff up with the basis. Okay, so going back to this question, what we can do is we can rearrange and get rid of the 3. We're going to write this as 2 to the power of x plus 2 is greater than 30 divided by 3. All right, I forgot one more thing. I need to add this question. X has to be an integer as well. Sorry, because otherwise this sort of makes sense. But anyway, so we got 2 to the power of x plus 2 is greater than 10. All right. Now you might actually go, oh yeah, I remember looking at that previous question. I'm just going to write down all the 2 to the power of 2 to the powers and see what happens. So if I go 2 to the power of 1, that's 2. 2 to the power of 2 is 4. 2 to the power of 3 is 8. 2 to the power of 4 is 16. And I promise you not, I've seen this so many times where people do this. They end up doing this. They go 2 to the power of x plus 2 is greater than, I don't know how they do it, but they do something along the lines of this, 2 to the power of 3.25. Yeah, I don't know where this logic comes from, but if you're one of those people that did this, I'm sorry, that is actually incorrect. You cannot do that, guys. All right, because you don't have a calculator. Remember this, okay? If you don't have a calculator, they're not going to give you guys questions that's going to require you to do complex calculations. This is actually a lot less, how do I say it? It's a lot less complicated, but it takes a bit of guess and check. All right. And the way I do it is this. I'm going to get rid of this colorful rainbow thing. Oh man, where's my number? Go come back. So I'm going to look at what are all the possible values x can actually be. Okay. If I put x is equal to 1, for example, then I'm going to get 2 to the power of 1 plus 2, which is 3. And that's greater than 10. Well, is 8 greater than 10? Well, no, that's actually false. So that's not going to work. The next thing you look at is x is equal to 2. All right. If x is equal to 2, then I'm going to get the power as 2 to the power of 4 is greater than 10. Now, 2 to the power of 4 is 16. 16 is greater than 10. That's true. So that means x equals to 2 is going to work. What about x equals to 3? If I put x equals to 3, I'm going to get 2 to the power of 3 plus 2, which is 5. And 2 to the power of 5 is 32. Now, 32 is greater than 10? Yes, that's true. So at this point, what you can actually do is you can actually keep going, because it could be 2, 3, and literally just, well, whatever number it can keep going up to. But how do we write this as an answer? So you actually got 2 answers for this. We can actually say x has to be greater than 1 is one of the answers, or x could be said as greater than or equal to 2. Okay? And because it's actually in, what do you call it? Because they have to be integers, we don't have to worry about the decimal points and all those accurate things. Now, if anyone's here just still hanging around that are level 2 guys, you guys will actually need to know exactly how to do this. Maybe I'll talk about that sometime else. Okay, so hopefully that helped you guys with that question here. Now, this question here should be an excellence, but God knows what they do this year. All right, let's see. Where's that question? Caitlin, I only see part of the question. Sorry, I'm just going to look for the rest of your question. Damn it, where is it? I need like a cutting. Okay, I could do that. Hang on. Sorry, guys. Just trying to look for Caitlin's question. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, sorry. You're typing it again. Thanks, Caitlin. I've already got it here. Let's go. Then I always get a square number. Show that. Okay. How many parts are this to this question? Let's see. Okay, Caitlin, we've got first 5 triangular numbers are 1, 3, 6. So we got 1, 3, 6, 10, 15. What is it going up by? 2, 3, 4, 5. The formula for the nth triangular triangle n could be given as the formula for the nth triangular number is O. Okay, Caitlin, you need to confirm with me, does the question actually look like this? Is it actually 1 over 2n times n plus 1? Is that correct? Or have I actually written that incorrectly? That doesn't look right. 5 times 2 is 10. Oh, I see. I think the question is like this. Okay, I think I know what the question looks like. Sorry, I just did the numbers. So the question actually looks like this. Am I correct? Okay, so, and then hexagonal numbers can be written as n is equal to 2n squared minus n. Oh, 1 over 2. Yeah, yep, got it, Caitlin. Yep, sweet. Okay, so the first question that we've got here is find the value of the 20th triangle. So that's not too bad because 20th triangle number, so we just go n is equal to half times 20 times 20 plus 1. 20 over 2 is 10. 21. 20 plus 1 is 21. 21 and 10 is 210. So that's question A. I don't see a question B. Caitlin, do you have a question B there by any chance? That's all right. I'll do question C for now, and then I'll come back to your question. All right. So question C, guys, this is a pretty decent question here. That's right here. Find the value of n, which gives triangular number 66. So what you've got is this right here. 66 equals half n, and then n plus 1. Okay, so what you can do is this is actually a straightforward quadratic, guys. So you got to rearrange, expand. So first thing is get rid of the 2. So you're going to get 66 times 2 equals n times n plus 1. 66 times 2, you got 132 equals n squared plus n, because n times n is n squared, n times 1 is n, and then 0 is equal to n squared plus n minus 132. So at this point, you got to factorize this. So you're looking for basically two numbers that multiply to negative 132 and positive 1. Okay, brain frying. Can somebody chuck me that numbers, please? What do we got? 132. Actually, that's a good point. I would like right now my brain is fried, but trying to do this. I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to 132 and add up to 1. So what I generally tend to do with this is I write it up like this. 132. I'll split it up into 2 first. All right, which means I've got 66 and 2. Then 66 could be split up as 33 times 2. So I hope you guys can, okay, what I'm going to do is just slightly differently so you guys can see this. So I got 66 times 2. 66 could be written as 33 times 2. And of course, I still got that last 2 there. What else could I do? 33 I could write as 11 times 3. And I've still got that 2 2's remaining. And I think this is how I would go about it, because 3 times 2 times 2 is 12. So I've got this as 11 times 12. And basically, because 12 and 11 multiplies to 132, and it also has a difference of 1. So I would write this as n plus 12 and n minus 11. So at this point, I can say n is equal to negative 12 or n is equal to positive 11. So I'm looking at the 11th number here. Yeah, I got your question. I got your question, Zesh. James, I'm not sure what you're talking about. It's just whiteboard. Microsoft Whiteboard. Just found it recently, so. Okay, Katie, you also got one other bit in there, which is the first 5 square numbers of that show that if I multiply any triangular number by 8 and then add, I'll always get 1. Wow, that's a nice little proof. Let's move this question here. So basically, we got the first 5 square. Now show that if I multiply any triangular number by 8, so triangular number, I'm going to write it as n, multiplied by 8, and then add 1, I always get a square number. Okay, so basically, n is, what do we got? N is half n. So I'm going to write this as 8 multiplied by 1 over 2 multiplied by n multiplied by n plus 1. That's what the whole n is, the triangle number, plus 1. Okay, so what I can do is, I need to actually expand this. So this is question D, right here. So I've got 8 times half, which is 4, and then 4 times n plus 1, and then plus another 1 here. And add 1, I always get a square number. Really? You do? Let's find out. So expanding this, I've got 4n squared. Now I'm going to do it one step at a time here. So 4 times n is 4n, and then n plus 1 plus 1. I've got 4n squared plus 4n plus 1. Is that all right so far, Caitlin? Okay. Now, the way I'm going to prove that this is always going to be a square number is I actually need to factorize this. Okay. Now, I think if you do questions long enough, you start recognizing patterns, but I need to actually factorize this. So I kind of need to do that, what do you call it? That partial factorization. So I'm going to do first 4 times 1. So that's equal to 4. I'm basically looking for two numbers that multiply to 4 and add up to this 4 right here in the middle. So I know that the numbers are going to be 2 and 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split that 4n as 2n and 2n and leave it as plus 1. So the next step is I need to factorize partial. So on the left-hand side, I've got 4n as a common factor. So actually not 4n, 2n is a common factor. So if I take out 2n, I end up with 2n plus 1. And then on the right-hand side, I've got 1 as the common factor, which means I can write this as 2n plus 1. And the next step is, because 2n plus 1 is a common factor for both of them, I can take it out. And what I have is something that looks like this. But really, this is no different to 2n plus 1 times 2n plus 1. Now, this could be written as 2n plus 1 squared, and that's how you prove that this is always going to be a square number when you do that particular question. All right, Zuesh, I'm going to go pick up your question, mate. Give me a second. I know you keep asking that. That's a pretty decent question, too. There it is. Okay, folks, so this is Zuyesh's question here. Now, this question came a couple of years ago, and I know people kind of got really annoyed with it, but in all honesty, this is actually not too challenging, to be honest. It's just a matter of understanding what the question's asking and then just working around it. All right, so this question, what we've got is, first we've got the formula h is equal to 2t multiplied by 6 minus t. And then what you can do is, what the question is actually asking is, for how long is the ball over 16 meters in height? Okay, now I guess I mean, it really kind of helps if you guys just draw like a little picture on the side here. Okay, so there's my ground level right there. And then you've got a ball. Obviously, it's going to be kicked from the ground. Okay, goes from the ground, and it's going to go up, and it's going to come down like this. All right, that's what the graph's going to actually look like. Now, one thing I'll tell you guys is this: if you expand this equation, h could be written as, when you expand it, 6 times 2t is 12t, and then 2t times negative t is negative 2t squared. And because it's a negative 2t squared, it's actually going to be a parabola that's actually pulled, well, an upside down parabola. But so just to get that idea first. Now, the second thing to understand is this question, Zuyesh, I know there was a second part to it. I think one of the parts of this question was, how long did it take the ball to reach the ground or something like that? So basically what it means is that, like, this point right here is going to be 0. And notice how this is 6 minus t. So if you put t as 6, that means this whole bracket here is going to become 0. That means height is also going to become 0. So that right there is, that point right there is going to be 6. Okay. Oh, that's sorry. I'm just looking at one of this question. I like that Jerry's class question. I need to do that. Hang on, Tanish. I see that question. Yeah, I can do that. Give me a second, mate. So what we have is, what do we got? What do we got? We got height is equal to 16 meters. So we put that as 2t times 6 minus t. Get rid of the 2. So bring the 2 to the other side, and you got 16 over 2 equals t times 6 minus t. Now 16 over 2 could be written as 8. Expand the brackets. 6 times t is 6t. T times negative t is negative t squared. Now remember what I told you guys. Don't try to factorize with negative t squared. Bring it over to the other side. So that means this will become positive t squared minus 6t, and then plus 8 equals to 0. So once you do that, you guys should be able to factorize it, because it's a nice single fact, what do you call it? Just basically factorize into a nice little simple quadratic. You've got t minus 4, t minus 2 equals to 0. Okay, so once you get that, you can put t equals to 4 or positive 2. So go back to the diagram. All right, in the diagram, I'm going to go back here. What it tells me is that at 2 seconds, which is right there, and then 4 seconds, it's right there, that's when it actually reaches 16 meters. So Zuyesh, for this question, you would actually say that the ball was over 16 meters in height. Ball is over 16 meters height for 2 seconds, because you got 4 seconds minus 2 seconds, because at the 4th second it's coming back below 16 meters. Okay, I know some people are asking me if I'm going to do something like this for level 2 MCAT. It's not level 2 MCAT, level 2 standards. I'll be honest, I'd love to do it, but yeah, I don't know if I'm going to get permission to actually come in, hey guys, because I'm not going to lie, my wife is watching this at home at the moment, and I'm at school. Yeah, I don't know if she's happy yet. So, but anyway, let's get going. All right, I got another hour. I'm going to take a short 2-minute break, guys. Just grab a couple of questions, and then I'll go through it again. All right. No worries, Suyesh. All right, where's that last few questions went? 24x squared plus 25x. Bertie, I'm not understanding your question. I might actually need to see whether you can actually chuck me a. Oh man, I'm in trouble. I'm definitely in trouble. Just got a message from the missus to say, did you just use me as an excuse to not do level 2? Wait, she's probably still listening. Oh, I'm going to get into more trouble. Hey, Debt Slayer, is that x minus 3 over 2? Grim, yes, I know PT. He's a good mate of mine. There's a couple of good questions. Where did it go? Damn it. Ah, yeah. Well, I've got someone telling me whose question is next. Yeah, Tanisha's question has disappeared, but Ariana's question is there. That's actually a really good, cool question. All right, I'm going to pull that up, guys. Give me a second. Yeah, I need to figure out how to actually set this up so that I can just get questions, but all right. Yes, Suyesh, I am. You're welcome, featured prodigy. All right, guys, back in business. This question here. Okay, sorry, give me 1 second. Just need to clear a couple more messages. Okay, so this question here, I did a very similar question like this yesterday, and I'll tell you what, it kind of drove my head in a bit. It's basically what you've got is 24 students in Jerry's class. Okay, I'm going to try and do this. 24 altogether. If Wushu, man, I'll try my best, man. But okay, I'm going to do this question for now. All right, so basically we got some boys and girls. First off, we know in Jerry's class we got 24 students. So let's actually say the number of girls plus the number of boys is equal to 24. Okay. Now, the next part is the most trickiest part, and it's probably the most annoying part in all of algebra. And I kid you not, people just do this naturally. If 3 more boys join the class, there would be then twice as many girls as their boys. And most of the time, what I see people do is they actually do this: twice as many girls as boys. All right. Now, first off, that's actually even I get confused with this so many times. It's ridiculous how I get confused with this. But what I actually tend to do is I make a little table for myself every single time. All right. No matter how many times I've done this question, this always kind of works out nicely. All right. So basically, what I do is, if I put a little table like this, B obviously stands for boys and G is for girls. If I put down 1 boy, if there's twice as many girls as there were boys, then for 1 boy, I'm actually have 2 girls in the class. If I have 2 boys, it's going to be 4. If it's 3 boys, it's going to be 6. All right. But if I say that the number of boys is unknown, which is going to be B, then what you should notice about all of these numbers is this is actually 2 times 1, 2 times 2, 2 times 3. That means when it's B, it's going to be 2 times B. All right. So from here, I can then see the formula that 2G is not actually equal to B, but G is equal to 2B. Yeah, I know people just make mess of this question all the time. All right. So that's the kind of first idea that you need to know. And I'm not gonna lie, guys. It could be very well that I screw up this question, but I'm gonna try and just see what happens anyway. That's the first kind of concept. But that only happens when 3 more boys join the class. Okay. So that means our equation for G is going to be that G is 2 times when 3 boys actually join the class. It's all right, Anusharan. Trust me, mate. Like, I've made this mistake so many times with this question. It's not funny. Like, most of the times, I'll be honest, I actually just play around with numbers and then I go back and write the equation to prove my answer. But it just takes a hell of a lot of time. But anyway, what we've got is we can expand this. We're going to write this as G equals to 2 times B plus 6. And I'm going to substitute this G back into this equation. So then I can get 2B plus 6 plus B is equal to 24. So from here, I've got 3B plus 6 is equal to 24. 3B equals 24. Take away 6. 3B equals 18. And then B is equal to 6. But the question is asking how many girls are in Jerry's class. Well, G plus B equals to 24. So G plus 6 equals to 24. And then G is equal to 24 minus 6, which is 18. Now, this actually works because if you think about it, they've got 24 students in the class, right? Where there's 6 boys and 18 girls. Now, if 3 more boys join, that means the class goes to 9 boys. And of course, there's 18 girls because there's twice as many girls as 9 boys. So yeah, I know it's a bit of a trick question, but yeah, it is there, and it kind of works out. Give me 1 second. It's not trying to. Trying to find the question. Tanish Bhatt. I think I just found your question, mate. Hey, Tanish, is it possible that you could actually post that question again? Because I kind of lost it in the stream, dude. Oh no, found it again. Sorry. There it is. Okay, Tanish, so this is your question right here. Yeah, I managed to find it. Thank you, Graham. Appreciate it. Okay, so my question at the shop, he's told by some assistant that 20 nails, so 20 nails plus 40 bolts will cost him $12. And then the second one says that he could buy 30 nails plus 30 bolts for at least $15. Yeah, guys, this is a simultaneous equation, but the question is actually asking for what is the most for one bolt. All right. So that means what I would say is you've got to figure out a way. How can we do this? How can we do this? 20, 20, 20. Oh, yeah, I see what we can do. What you kind of need to do is this might be a little bit challenging to keep up with, but just try anyway. Ideally, what we want to do is we want to get rid of this n. Okay. If we get rid of the n and write that n in terms of b, then we'll have like a nice inequation with b and the inequation symbol as well. So that means we should be able to find out what the minimum value or what is the most for one bolt is. So I'm going to take this equation and I'm going to rearrange it. So I got 20n plus 40b equals to 12. Remember, I want to replace n. So I'm going to write this as 20n equals 12 minus 40b. And then n is equal to, whoa, that is getting very ugly very quickly, Tanish. Is there another way to do this? Nah, it's all right. It should be fine. Let's try it anyway. 12 minus 40b over 20. Yeah, nah, it should be all right. So what I'm going to do is, I'm trying to do this without trying to mix in any level 2, but just trying to do it with level 1. Would it work? Yeah, it should work. Let's do this. So because we've got n here by itself like this, I'm going to replace the n into here. So I've got 30 multiplied by 12 minus 40b, and that's divided by 20. Plus 30b here, and that's got to be greater than 15. Oh, Caleb, if I stuffed it up somewhere here, mate. Times top 1 by 3, top 1 by 4. Oh, yeah, you could do that. Yeah, see, this is what happens when I'm trying to do it with too much teaching level 2. Well, all right, Caleb, you try your method. I'll try this method as well, and let's see if we end up with the same answer or not, all right? So what I can get rid of the 2 zeros. I've got 3 times 12, which is 36, minus 120b, divided by 2 plus 30b is greater than 15. Now, because 2 is I can split the 2's up, so I got 36 over 2, minus 120 over b over 2, plus 30b is greater than 15. So this is 18, take away 60b plus 30b. It's greater than 15. And I've got negative 30b. 18 goes to the other side, becomes minus 18. And I've got negative 30b is greater than negative 3. Now, just remember, when you divide by a negative symbol, you got to switch the sign. So you're going to get negative 3 over negative 30. And what ends up happening is b has to be less than negative 3 over 30, which is 0.1. And I think the question actually asked us, what is the most for one bolt? So in this case, wait, I think I've made a, guys, sorry, I made another huge mistake. Well, not a huge mistake, but quite a important mistake, actually. Remember this thing here, it says at least. All right, if it says at least, this symbol has to be greater than or equal to, which means it's greater than or equal to, all the way down. okay? And which means the final symbol has to be that. Now, the reason I picked that up was because I went back to the question to have a look at what the question actually asked. The question asked for what is the most for one bolt? And my answer was actually less than 0.1. Now, in this case, we can actually say the most for one bolt is 0.1. Yeah, Caleb, it is possible, mate, that your method is simpler. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, it's just with algebra, you got so many different ways of doing it. So, what did you do, Caleb? I mean, I'd love to show these guys just to. Let me have a look. Did you just leave it straight up as just an equal sign and then just did it as a simultaneous equations? Tanish, I'm assuming you're saying thanks and not Thanos, but that's okay. Yeah, I think Caleb, it will work. But I think in one of the years with the questions, there was something up with the symbols. So I know that yeah, it could actually work. Yeah, I know what you're trying to do. Yeah, definitely will work. Definitely will work if you're trying to solve for it. But because this is one of those questions with elimination, you got to be careful with the symbols. So Grim, are you talking about the same question here? Yeah, Caleb. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you could do that, mate. Okay, guys, did anybody else put up another question? I'm just gonna go through the numbers again and have a look. Not for me Tuesday. Yep. Yep, Supriti, yep, got it. Melee's Explorer. Harry, this question here. In its simplest form, find the difference. Harry, is there any more else details to that question? Because exploring the sequence number given by this rule. Hang on, I'm going to cut and paste this. Give me a second. Okay, Zuyesh, I'm going to cut that question as well. I'll try and do both. Zuyesh, your question is fairly straightforward, mate. You just got to, you literally got to just expand the quadratic and just simplify the values. Okay, I'm just going to do Zuyesh's question in the background while I try and work this Harry's question in my other side of the head. Zuyesh, this one looks like this. 2x minus 3 squared plus 1. All you got to do is you just got to go 2x minus 3 times 2x minus 3 plus 1. And then when you simplify it, you can match it to ax squared plus bx plus c. That's Slayer. Okay. Yeah, Harry, I'm just looking at that question because if you give the rule for finding the difference between any two consecutive terms for the sequence, what you've got to, okay. Right, Harry, I got this question right here. Basically, this is what this question is. Your first number is going to look like this: 3n squared minus 2n plus 1. Death Slayer, I've got your question next, mate. Just give me a second. I'm just going to screenshot it first. Okay, so Harry, going back to your question. Yeah, melee is always exploring. Okay, what it means is that, like, I don't think you guys got to be careful with this one. Okay, the reason is because if I take n as 1, because remember, she's actually looking at the sequence of numbers given by this rule. So if n is 1, then that's your first number in the sequence. So the second number in this sequence, or the consecutive one, is you're going to get n is equal to 2. Or you can actually write that, hang on, let me just rewrite that again, sorry. So the first number is n, and the second number is going to be n plus 1. So if that's the case, then the difference between the second consecutive term for the two consecutive terms would look like this: 3 multiplied by n plus 1 squared minus 2 times n plus 1 plus 1. And then this is subtracted from the original 3n squared minus 2n plus 1. Yeah, thanks, James, for helping Death with that question. Just multiply everything by 2 and you should be able to solve it. But Harry, back to your question here. So this is what the question is actually asking you to do, okay? Because when I was looking at it originally, I thought you just kind of go, well, if it's a consecutive number, you automatically think it's just going to be 1 after this. So you probably could write that as like 3n squared minus 2n plus 2, but that's actually not right. This is what you're supposed to do. So expand this. You got 3 times n plus 1 times n plus 1. Hopkey, I've actually done that question before in one of the MCAT videos, man. Just find it there. If you find the year, you should be able to find the question. Ariana, I'll do your question next, because give me a second. Need to screenshot that. And Harry, I need to finish your question. I'm hoping you're all right with this, but I'm going to finish this question. Give me a second. Ariana. Okay, so back to this question, Harry. So we've got this minus 2n minus 2 plus 1. And then here you've got minus 3n squared plus 2n plus 1. So expand this quadratic. So you got 3 times n squared plus 2n plus 1. And then now it's a matter of trying to simplify this. So minus 2n and 2n cancels. That's not a plus 1. That should be a minus 1. That minus 1 and this plus 1 cancels. I've got minus 2 here. So this is going to be 3n squared plus 6n plus 3 minus 2. 3n squared plus 6n plus 1. Harry, that's what you're looking at for your answer, mate. Okay, guys. The next question I wanted to look at was Ariana's question. Give me a second. I need to paste this here. Harry, did that help, mate? Have I stuffed it up? Oh, yep. Sorry, mate. Yeah, cheers. Thank you for that. I forgot about that last 3n squared. That should disappear. So then you've got 6n plus 1 as the final answer. My bad. Okay, so this was Ariana's question. Ariana. Okay, Ariana, this question here, what you've got is volume of the cone is given by 1/3 pi x squared times h. So the question's asking, Peter wants to use the formula to work out the height of the cone. So that means just rearrange everything so that the h is there by itself. So the first thing you got to do is get rid of the 3. You got 3v equals pi x squared h. And then h could be written as 3v divided by pi x squared. Okay? Because basically this whole thing is getting multiplied here. So when you bring it across to the other side, it actually becomes divide. So the next part is, part 2 is container has a volume of 66. And we got a base radius is x. Find the height of Peter's container. So we got the formula. Height is equal to 3v divided by pi x squared. So height is equal to 3 times 66 divided by pi times 3 squared, which is 9. So from here, I can cancel that 1, 3 and replace this with another 3, because 3 over 9 could be written as 1 over 3. And then 66 divided by 3 is 22. So the height for this question is going to be 22 over pi. Wapa papa, I have no idea, mate. Okay, what was the next question? Ariana, I hope that answered your question. Let's go find out what the next question is. Jake and Melly got that. Josh Fong did that. Wait, Anthony, what are you doing in my stream, man? Get back to calculus. Don't want to be marking empty papers tomorrow. Guys, I'm looking for more questions. Where we got? Grim, got your question there. Diana is required to write down 3 consecutive even numbers. What the hell? Okay. Let's try this question then. All right, Grim, I'm going to try and do this question here. Ooh, Supriti, that's a really good question. I want to do that one too. Okay, Grim, this is your question. We got 3 consecutive even numbers. So that means my first even number could be written as, well, actually, now you know what? Should I do it as 2n? That's going to complicate things, but yeah, why not? Let's do 2n. Second even number is going to be, now you know what? I'm going to do it as x. And I know some people had some questions about this particular question, like in terms of even numbers. If you get an even number question, should I write it as x or should I write it as 2n? If you guys get odd numbers, write that as 2n plus 1. If you get as even numbers, you can write it as 2n or you can write it as x. But what you can do is, like in this case, I'm going to try x just to see what the hell happens. So what do we got? So first even number is x. Then the second even number is going to be x plus 2. And the third even number is going to be x plus 4. That's one way of doing it. All right. And now it's asking, she's then asked to multiply the first and last of the 3 numbers together. Use algebra to show what relationship that there is. Hey, Grim, have you forgotten? That's what I thought the rest of the question. Thank you. I appreciate it. I needed the rest of the question. Yeah, because okay, so it says use algebra to show what relationship between the product, this product, and the square of the middle number. Okay, so what you're asking for is, oh, all right. All right, sorry guys, gotta excuse me. I gotta say goodnight to my wife. She's actually supporting me from home watching this, but she has got to go to work early tomorrow. So thanks, Aunt, for watching. I'll be home in about an hour's time. Okay, so what we got is product of the first and second number, sorry, first and third number, and then square of the second number. So what I'm going to do is I've got x multiplied by x plus 4. That there is, what relationship there is between the product and the square. So I'm going to do the first number multiplied by the third number, and I can write this as x squared plus 4x. As for the second number squared, I've got x plus 2 squared. I can write this as x plus 2 times x plus 2, which is going to equal x squared plus 4x plus 4. So with this, Graham, what I would actually say is that the relationship between the middle number, or I can say the relationship between the square number, you can say the square of middle number is always 4 more than product of first and third number. All right, next question. I got half an hour, guys. I'm going to try and do as many of these that are left over here. Where was that question from Supriti? All right, Supriti, I got your question here. And then Zuyesh, I got your question as well. Hey, Suyesh, your question, mate, I'm not understanding how that actually looks like. No worries, Graham, you're welcome. Okay, so I'm going to try my best to actually Supriti, if you're there, you need to confirm with me whether this question is being done correct. So 3 to the power of 5n minus 1 multiplied by 9 to the power of 2n. Oh, this question. Ethan Binney, I'm basically just doing questions, mate. People are chucking questions on the chat channel, and I'm just doing them as fast as I can and just trying to work through it. Okay, Supriti, this question here. Again, remember I talked to you guys. Guys, if you are watching exponents, this question is really, really important, all right? The reason is this particular type of question, if it does come, you guys should be getting excellence for it, all right? Because I'm not gonna lie, because this is this is one of those really nice questions that work out really nice at the end. Basically, what you got is 3 to the power of, everything needs to be converted to base 3, all right? The reason is because you got numbers 3, 9, and 27. Remember, 3 to the power of 1 is 3, 3 squared is 9, 3 to the power of 3 is 27. So the first thing you need to do is you need to get rid of the 9 and the 27. So you can write this as, by the way, Caleb, if you are doing this question, see if you can try and beat me, mate, without trying to catch up while I'm trying to explain. So 3 to the power of 5n minus 1 multiplied by 9. I'm going to replace 9 with 3 to the power of 2. And that's still raised to the power of 2n. Okay, hopefully that made sense. And then that's divided by 3 to the power of n plus 1. And as for 27, I can write 27 as 3 to the power of 3. Because remember, that's what 27 is equal to. All right, so the next step is you've got to try and get rid of this 2n and 2. Remember your rules for exponents. All right, if you have a to the power of m times to the power of n, we can write this as a to the power of m times n. So that means I could do this, 3 to the power of 5n minus 1 multiplied by 3 to the power of 2 times 2n. And that's divided by 3 to the power of n plus 1. and that's also equal to 3 to the power of 3. So the next step is going 3 to the power of 5n minus 1 multiplied by, got to do the 2 times 2n, so that's going to be 3 to the power of 4n divided by 3 to the power of n plus 1, which equals to 3 to the power of 3. So now remember this rule. If you have a to the power of m times a to the power of n, this could be written as a to the power of m plus n. And that's what I'm going to do for the top line right here. So I'm going to rewrite that as 3 to the power of 5n minus 1 plus 4n, and that's equal to 3 to the power of n plus 1 equals 3 cubed. When I combine this, 5n and 4n becomes 9n minus 1, and that's equal to 3 to the power of n plus 1. And that's still 3 cubed. So next thing is, remember this rule. A to the power of m divided by a to the power of n, you can actually write it as m minus n because the powers get subtracted. However, be careful with this one because when you subtract the power from the denominator, you got to put them in a brackets. So this actually looks like this. So the next step would be 3 to the power of 9n minus 1 minus n minus 1 equals 3 to the power of 3. So at this point, I can simplify this and write this as 3 to the power of 8n minus 2 equals 3 to the power of 3. Oh man, Caleb, you got a different answer. Have I done something wrong? Anyway, I'll carry on. So the next step is 8n minus 2 is equal to 3. Because remember, once you have the bases as the same, then you can actually say the powers equal to each other. So then the next step is 8n is equal to 3 plus 2. And then 8n equals to 5. N equals 5 over 8. Million, I think it just gets saved as a video, mate, so you can just watch it. What have I done wrong? Guys, Supriti, you're saying 5 over 8. Caleb, you're saying it's negative 1 over 8. Hold up, I teach at OSC, mate. Hey, Supriti, is that what you got as the answer? Because Caleb seems to be getting a different answer. Right. Okay. Okay, sweet. We got quite a few people that have been getting 5 over 8. Hey, Caleb, it could be that the questions are different, mate. So sometimes we kind of change like 1 or 2 numbers to kind of give different questions to different people. Tech dude, like it's a bit more challenging to do level 2 maths, man, for the mocks because everyone's got mocks at different times. All right, guys, anyone else got a different question or you want me to chuck one of my own up here? Of course, I got to write it up real quickly. Okay, Ariana, I like that question. I'm going to do that one there. What's up, Zayesh? What do you need? Did I miss one of your questions? District 3DX. I think I can spend a whole hour talking about that, mate. Okay, Ariana, your question right here. Basically, what you got is the product of one more than twice a number. So I would actually just, like, sometimes it even helps just writing the sentence out if it actually helps you guys out. But the way I kind of do this is, give me a second, let me just adjust this. That's good enough. So product of one more than the number. So I'm going to put x as the number. The product of one more than twice a number, so 2 times that number plus 1, and it's getting multiplied by 7 more than the original number, is equal to 6 times the original number. Okay, once you got that, what you need to do is expand and rearrange and get it into a nice little quadratic. So I'm going to expand this. I've got 2x squared plus 14x. So that's 2x squared and then 14x. 1x plus 7 equals 6x. So the next step is I've got 2x squared plus 15x plus 7 equals to 6x. And then 2x squared plus 15x, I've got minus 6x plus 7 is equal to 0. So I've got 2x squared plus 9x plus 7 is equal to 0. So at this point, I got a quadratic with a coefficient of a greater than 2. Sorry, just give me 1 second. Carlos, that question, you should be able to do this. It was very similar to a question I did earlier, mate. Just follow that same idea behind it. Okay, going back to the question. So with this quadratic, I'm basically going 2 times 7, which is 14. And I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to 14 and add up to that 9. Now that's straightforward. 7 and 2, 7 and 2. So I can rewrite this as 2x squared plus 7x plus 2x plus 7 equals to 0. So next thing is partial factorizing. So in the left-hand side, I've got x as a common factor. So that will become 2x plus 7. And then on the right-hand side, I've got plus 1 as a common factor. So that's 2x plus 7 equals to 0. Hey guys, by the way, this question is it's actually a really neat question because a lot of people think they kind of got the answers at the end, but then they stuff it up. Like, see what happens in this question. We got 2x plus 7 as a common factor, so we can take it out, and we've got x plus 1 is equal to 0. So basically, we got 2x plus 7 is equal to 0, or x plus 1 is equal to 0. Now in this case, x is equal to negative 1, and in this case, 2x is equal to minus 7, and x equals to negative 7 over 2. But if you go back to the question, right at the top there, I saw it somewhere, right here. It says that the number is actually an integer, right? If the number is an integer, then the correct answer for this question is x equals to negative 1, and you can't actually have negative 7 over 2, which is actually not an integer. Oh wow, did I just see one of my ex-calculus students here? Nice to see you, Azar. What are you doing with the level 1 tutorial, mate? Wow. Suyash, where'd you get that question from, man? I'm just trying to... B to the power of 3 minus q cubed. Oh, yep. Suyash, I'll do that question and then I'll do Supriti's question. I got 2 questions right there. Caleb, if I have time, I'm going to do your question, all right? Ah, Zar, mate. Don't lie, you missed calculus. This is just level 1, Azar. Okay. All right, this is the last 3 questions, guys, I'm going to try and do. So, do Zuyash's one first. Zuyash, where did you get this question from, man? Because this question looks like a level 2 question, because I don't think they're going to ask you a question like this at level 1. Really? They put this type of question in the level 1 mock exam? Jeez. Why? Ah. Yeah, it's really weird that that Zuya, she actually put this question up here, because I'll be honest, mate, this question is actually level 2, because you don't even learn about cubics till you get to level 2, because for these guys to actually put this question here, it's just ridiculously stupid. I'll tell you what, I'm gonna do the I'm gonna do Supriti. I'll do your question first, because I saw the second part to it, which kind of disappeared just before. Where is this? All right, got it. Supriti, I'm going to do your question here. So A, B, C, consecutive orders in order from smallest to largest. So we can write that as x plus 1, x plus 2, x plus 3. And they're basically saying investigate the relationship between the numbers b over c and a over d. So I'm assuming b over c is going to look like this, x plus 1 over x plus 2, because that's b, no, that's b, and that's c, that's a and d, minus a over d looks like this. What's the second part to this question? Explain why the answer will always produce a fraction with a numerator that is an odd number and a denominator which is an even number. Okay, so Supriti, for this particular question, what you got to do is just cross multiply, all right? Because this type of question comes in level 2 later on, but the denominators will be different. So when I say cross multiply, I mean, you can just do it like this. So multiply this by x plus 2 and x plus 2, and then multiply the left-hand side by x plus 3 and x plus 3. So when you do that, the first part of the fraction, sorry, the first quadratic is, I'm doing this one. I've got x plus 3 times x plus 1 minus x times x plus 2, and the whole thing divided by x plus 3 times x plus 2. So expand the numerator. You've got x times x, which is x squared. X and 1 is x. 3 times x is 3x. 3 times 1 is 3. Minus, now really important to put this one in a big bracket, all right? Because of that negative sign in front. So x times x is x squared. X times 2 is 2x. And the whole thing is divided by x squared. I'm doing this quadratic now, and then 2x, 3x, and then 6. Actually, I don't need to do that part. Just realize that. I could actually just leave it as it is. Oh, damn it. What did I do? Come back. Gonna get rid of this. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave this denominator as x plus 3 and x plus 2. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so the numerator, simplifying it, I've got x squared plus 4x plus 3 minus x squared and minus 2x. And in the denominator, I've got x plus 3 times x plus 2. So now I can get rid of the 2x squareds. 4x minus 2x is 2x. So I got 2x plus 3 equals, divided by x plus 3 and x plus 2. Now 2x plus 3, so the way I would kind of explain it is that the numerator has to be always, numerator will always be odd, because you are multiplying, you're multiplying an even number. Because remember, x is an even number. When you multiply an even number with another number and add an odd number, you're going to get odd. All right. That's, or you could actually rewrite it like this, because odd numbers could be written as 2n plus 1. All right. If it can be written as 2n plus 1, then what you can do is you can rewrite 2x plus 3 as 2x plus 2 plus 1 over x plus 3 and x plus 2. Now the bottom denominator one is always going to be even numbers. Okay. Because what you're doing is you're multiplying two even numbers, and so therefore you're always going to have, when you multiply two even numbers, you're always going to get an even number. As for the numerator, you can rewrite this as 2 bracket x plus 1 like that format there. And whenever you have a format like this, where 2 multiplied by something plus 1, it has the look of an odd number, and therefore you can say that the numerator will always then be an odd number. Okay, hopefully that made sense, Suprati. Okay, Debt Slayer, I got your question there, mate. I'll do that after this last question. Debt Slayer's question might be the last one, but where was this one more question here? Caleb, your question here, mate. Product of the last two and the first of these four even numbers will always... Sorry, I don't have rest of the question, Caleb. I hope you've got it sorted. But basically what you got to do is you got consecutive four even numbers. So that's x, x plus 1, x plus 2, and x plus 3. Show that the difference between the product of the last two and the first two. So basically you're going x, difference between the product of the last two. So x plus 2 times x plus 3 minus the first two, x times x plus 1. Yeah, I think I missed the rest of the question, Caleb, but if you actually expand this quadratic and actually finish it off, you should be able to write it up. It could be that it's an even number or an odd number. I didn't see the rest of the question. Okay, last question for the night, folks. That's Death Slayer, I think it is. Or is it? Okay, where? Even. Sorry, Caleb, I just saw your question. I'm going to go back to it and just finish it off quickly, all right? All right, so what you got is expand this quadratic. So you're going to get x squared plus 5x plus 6 minus x squared plus x. Simplifying this, you're going to get x squared plus 5x plus 6 minus x squared minus x. So x squared cancels. 5x minus 6 is 4x plus 6. And this could be written as 2 times 2x plus 3. And remember, even number has a format of 2 times n. So that means that's why this number will always be 2n. Anthony, if you really want that question answered, Anthony, just substitute -2 minus I into Z and solve it, man. You'll find it. Million test phi. I'm gonna try and do this on Monday again, mate. Wait, I gotta do this last question. Where's that's last question? That's Slayer's last question. All right. I know he keeps putting it up there. I got another calculus student here. Oh, come on, Henry. I cursed you for not getting enough sleep. I hope you don't get enough sleep today. Okay, guys, that's Slayer. Last question, yeah? So basically, if 4x minus 5y, I just realized, Death Slayer, is there extra part to this question? Or is it just 4x minus 5y equals to 3? And is that what the question's saying? Or have you missed the number, mate? Yeah, Kecho, that's what I'm thinking as well. 4x minus 5. Okay, equals 18. Fantastic. There we go. And we're trying to figure out what 2x minus y is. Okay, all right, all right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do elimination, guys. So basically, I'm going to multiply this whole thing by 2. I'm going to write my top equation down first. So it's 4x minus 5y equals 18. And then 2x times 2 is 4x. 2y times 2 is 4y. 3 times 2 is 6. So I'm going to eliminate x, obviously. So one little tip that I use here is I'm going to subtract that. So change that symbol from plus to minus, and I'm going to subtract that 6 as well. So what ends up happening is 4x minus 4x is 0. Negative 5y minus 4y is negative 9y. And then 18 minus 6 is 12. This is one of those horrible questions again. So y is going to end up being 12 divided by negative 9. Actually, I remember this question, Death Slayer. It was in one of the practice exams. It is a horrible question because they really shouldn't be giving you guys fractions as one of these questions, but that's just horrible. Anyway, y is equal to negative 4 over 3. And then you got to go back and substitute. So you got 2x plus 2y equals to 3. Now I'm not going to, oh my goodness. Yeah, I have to use that one. There's no other way to do this. So you got 2x plus 2 times negative 4 over 3 equals to 3. And then 2x is equal to negative 8 over 3 equal to 3. And then you can change the negative 8 over 3 to the other side. It becomes plus 8 over 3. And then 2x is equal to, well, at this point, I've got to combine this number and this fraction. I can write 3 as 9 over 3. Okay, and then that becomes 8 over 3. So I've got 2x equals 17. Have I done a mistake somewhere here, guys? Because this just looks ugly, this whole question. Okay, I'm going to keep going anyway, but it's all right. Well, actually, in our question, it asked for 2x minus y. And I think I'm going to stop here because the question did ask what is 2x minus y. And I've got 2x here. 2x is 17 over 3. Minus y is negative 4 over 3. does bloody work out this stupid question. So 17 take away -4 is 21 over 3. So that means 2x minus y is actually equal to 7. That'd be 8 over 2x minus 8. Where is it? Okay. Yeah, Zuyesh, you got a lot of questions there, mate. Lots of different questions. I think that's going to take me another time. All right, level ones. I think that's me at the moment, man. Thank you for actually tuning in and just actually giving this the go, because I've been wanting to do this for a hell of a long time, but never really had the tech. My calculus guys are going to be really pissed off. No, Azar, I can't make videos on matrices. Go ask your university lecturers for that. Henry. Okay, what do you want, Henry? I'll give you a question. Henry, when you get a child, I hope that child never sleeps, and that I hope that child keeps you up all night. You crazy fella. All right, guys, that's me wrapping up. So as usual, like if you have any questions, right, just flick me a message on, I think on my Facebook Messenger. There's a link on the description below. So if you do have any questions, just take a screenshot of the question and just send it to me, and then I'll see if I can try and go through some of the questions in the next session. All right, but I am expecting like a lot of madness on Monday. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But thank you again for tuning in. All right, cheers and see you guys.